So guys, what you're seeing here is the brand new VinFast VF3, which is one of the country's most affordable electric cars. So when I do say affordable, this is what I mean by affordable. So you're gonna see the price point here on the right side of the vehicle. And yeah, despite the price point of that car, as you're gonna see, this VinFast VF3 looks very stylish, very chunky, because in the first place, unlike some of the other affordable EVs at this price point, they tend to look like glorified e-bikes. Pero what I like about the VinFast VF3 is that there's a true sense of chunkiness, there's a true sense of presence, because the car is very boxy, very wide, and especially with the front end here. So you're gonna see, you have this very wide front grille. Well, again, electric car nga ito, so wala itong openings, but yun nga, there's the usual VinFast style grille na you have this V at the front. And then, this car really looks like a small off-roader, though this is more of a city car, but with rugged yet stylish looks. This car is basically a 3-door, by the way, so you have 2 doors on each side. So wala kang rear door here except for the tailgate, of course. And as you're gonna see as well, you have here this Creator's Edition for this variant of the VinFast VF3. So again, with the upright styling, the chunky rear end of the car, the design's really cohesive. It's very rugged, very chunky. I've said the word chunky a lot of times, so totoo lang, but it's really pretty much what the VinFast VF3 is all about. And so with that in mind, I think it's a good time again for us to hop inside the VinFast VF3 to see what does the interior has to offer. So here inside the VinFast VF3, in terms of the way it looks, just like the exterior, it's pretty simple, but at the same time, there's still a reasonable amount of style to keep things very interesting and very nice to look at. There's a splash of color sa kanang aircon vents and also a two-tone black and gray layer sa kanang dashboard to somewhat add visual interest to the car's interior. You also have here exposed metal panels, so it's kind of like in the Mazda MX-5, for example, na it sort of adds to the character of the interior of this VinFast VF3, and especially considering the price point nga lalo, this is actually a very nice interior. Now, one of the highlights of this interior is this large infotainment screen. And if you've watched my video of the VinFast VF5, I mentioned there that VinFast makes their own software. And here in the case of the VinFast VF3, the interface looks really nice. It's very simple. There's always this left side where you have the speedometer and the gear positioning, the PRND, because you don't have here your own driver's display. Again, going back to the infotainment, it's really nice. The interface looks pretty good. It's very slick. I like the graphics, actually. It's very minimalist, I think. And then you even have a customizable home screen here that displays stuff like weather, the music that's being played. And yun nga lang though, there's no Apple CarPlay or Android Auto in the infotainment system, so you're gonna be relying here on your smartphone mount if you want to use Waze, Google Maps, so there's that part nga lang. Now, as for the other practicality stuff, being a pure electric car, so you have here a very expansive and open area. So ito yung center console mo, it's actually pretty small, but you have space for 3 cups sa kanang cup holders. And then in front of it is a center stack where you have 2-tier storage along with the USB-C charging port. And then lastly, as for the driving part, if you're gonna start driving this car, wala kang push button start in this car, and what you have instead is a key slot here sa kanang center console where you have to put in your key, and then that's basically how the vehicle detects the key. As mentioned, wala kang starter button, so you just step on the brakes, and that basically pretty much turns on the vehicle when you step on the brakes. If you want to turn off the car, you just pull the key out, and then you exit the car, and so there's basically no button for you to push to turn on or off the VinFast VF3. So interesting quirk with how you operate the car. And then if you're gonna start driving the car, it's pretty fancy because you have a gear lever sa kanang stock, basically a stock-based gear lever. So you push for park, reverse is up, then drive is basically down, then you put it back to parking by pressing the stock here. And then when you put the car in park, that's when the parking brake already activates. So with the front part of the interior dealt with, I think that's a good time for us to hop in the back seats of the VinFast VF3. So as you're gonna see here in the back of the VinFast VF3, well, this passenger seat has been moved forward a bit. And so as a result, I have a good amount of space for my 5'11" height. Again, considering the car size, so this is my leg room here. And then in terms of headroom, it's actually pretty good, especially due to the car's boxy and upright shape. Yun nga lang, of course, this seat here in the left is for my 5'11" driving position. And so yung mga makakaupo nga lang sa likod ko, if I were to be the driver of this car, would be mga siguro 5'2", 5'3" na mga tao. So again, considering the car's size, this is still pretty good, especially when you compare to the likes of the other Chinese EVs na maliliit. And let's be honest, kind of feel like glorified e-bikes in the first place. So again, here with the VinFast VF3, yun nga, you have amenities here at the back. So you have here 2 cup holders, 1 on each side basically. So as for the cargo area, when you open the tailgate, the space is pretty compact. Pero when you fold down the rear seats, itong rear seats na ito, what you're basically left is a very practical 2-seater because you're now left with a very large and square cargo area, which offers excellent space utilization because of the car's boxy shape. So with that said, let's talk about na ngayon the driving experience and also the mechanicals behind the VinFast VF3. So the VinFast VF3 has a rear-mounted 43 horsepower electric motor along with an 18.64 kWh lithium iron phosphate battery. The VF3 is able to travel 210 kilometers on a full charge, while these are its AC and DC charging times. VinFast, however, didn't provide the car's maximum charging output. But anyway, here's how the VinFast VF3 performs in the real world. So now that we're here on the road with the VinFast VF3, what you're gonna notice immediately is that this car has really great visibility because the car is very boxy, you have plenty of glass area, and because of the car's small size, it's really easy to position this car sa very tight Manila city streets. If you're gonna be looking for a car that's very maneuverable and very easy to drive, this is really that car because this car is very small, this car is very tight, ang sobrang liit ng kanyang turning radius. So it's easy to make U-turns with this car. The steering's very light, and let's check the EV motors of this car if it's gonna be instantaneous ang response niya. So, clear yung road. So, instantaneous ang response ng kanyang electric motors, but there's this build-up of power. Hindi siya yung parang gives you 100% in an instant. So, kinda like a gas car, yung response ng throttle niya in that case, in that sense rather. So, that's pretty brisk, yung acceleration na yun. That's pretty brisk. As for the refinement aspect, so of course, in the cars like these, you're still gonna be caring about refinement because yung electric, so it's probably gonna be a quiet car, right? Actually, in the case of the VinFast VF3, you can actually hear the electric motors. You can actually hear it wind up and wind down. You can also hear the regenerative braking activate because whenever we say regenerative braking, baka ang iniisip nyo kasi, or probably baka ang understanding nyo is that there's another layer sa disc brakes for the regenerative braking, pero actually, with regenerative braking, the way it works is that whenever you step on the brake pedal, what actually happens there is yung kanyang motor generator runs in reverse. So, it's actually that reversal sa kanyang electric motors that charges the battery whenever you step on the brake. So, it's not actually another layer on the disc brakes yung regenerative braking, but it's actually yun nga, that reversal in motion slows you down, and at the same time, it's what charges the battery as a result. So, in the VinFast VF3, you kind of hear that. You can actually hear that regenerative braking effect. So when you slow down, you're gonna hear the regenerative braking activate. You have to remember na at this price point, you pretty much have to manage your expectations in terms of refinement, in terms of the driving dynamics. But again, yun nga, in terms of the other noise sources, like for example, the road noise, the wind noise, road noise is, I think, well suppressed. The car is pretty refined, the electric motor noise aside. So we're gonna accelerate here a bit. Yun nga, you can hear the electric motor whine. So it's silent whenever you coast, but when you slow down, yun nga, the regenerative braking kicks in and you hear that reversal in the electric motors. Now, in terms of the ride quality, you have to remember that this is a very small car, a short sub 3.5 meter long car, and so as a result, because of that, itong VinFast VF3 is not necessarily the best in terms of the ride comfort. So, whenever you go through a bump, syempre, the front end hasn't settled yet, and then at the same time, yung rear end mo will experience yung lubak na yon because of the short wheelbase. Kaya nga, we always say na cars with long wheelbases tend to have better ride control. But again, considering the car's price point and the car's size, the diminutive size of this car, maganda na yung ride quality niya. Much better pa nga sa totoo lang than a lot of these cars competitors at this price point, yung mga small, basically karamihan ng mga small Chinese electric cars. Now, in terms of the wind noise at high speeds, I haven't driven this car on a long drive, but at least here in city speeds, okay naman yung sound insulation niya. And so yun nga, this VinFast VF3, I think, is one of the easiest gateways for you to own your first electric car. It's a very affordable city runabout, itong VinFast VF3, especially when you go towards a battery subscription model. And yun nga, combined with the car's style, combined with the car's small size, combined with its affordability and ease of use, this VinFast VF3, I think, is a well-designed, well-mannered small city car, small city electric car. And especially due to the car's style, I really do think that this is a very charming small electric car. And it's one of the vehicles, I think, that will really make electric cars more appealing here in the Philippines, because yun nga, you have to remember na electric cars usually are more expensive than their gas counterparts. But in the case of the VinFast VF3, it's a very affordable yet very stylish and very charming electric car.